Felt like you think that was the best one?
one.
Felt like an action movie almost. Colorado Rapids finished last season 11th in the Western Conference, 21st in MLS. I was actually today, not even lying about this. I was just doing some work at home since we're snowed in, and I turned on the decision day game between the Colorado Rapids and LAFC, and I was watching that earlier, and they were in the hunt. Colorado was very close to making the playoffs. Obviously, it didn't. What they needed to go right didn't go right for them because they didn't make the postseason at the end of the day. Their head coach, they fired Chris Armas. I've never been a big Chris Armas fan. He's now gone on to the NWSL. He's coaching in that league now. They have brought in Matt Wells, who is a former Tottenham assistant manager. So they expect to get some European culture, some European tactical techniques coming into this club. Their top goal scorer last year, Rafael Navarro, scoring 12 goals. Christian, this is a weird team because personally, since we've been watching the league, I feel like Colorado has been one of those teams who has never been above like a mid-table. They've been anywhere from like mid-table to lower table team. They've never been a team who I've been too scared of, but they've always had a good roster on paper. Like I feel like they just haven't been able to bring everything together to find a successful season. Last year, they struggled on defense once again, particularly in stopping teams on the fast break. That was something that they really struggled at last season. So it'll be interesting to see. They're bringing back most of the defenders that they had last year, but they also Michael Edwards is the one on the back line. He's gone off to Atlanta United.
Do they still have Ian Murphy?
Let me check. I have their roster pulled up. Go ahead, Christian, while I look. I'm seeing their back line: Keegan Rosenberry, Sam Vines, Reggie Cannon, and Rob Holding.
Okay. Because Ian Murphy came from Cincinnati. I really did like him. But the thing with this team, I think that they really struggle with.
Oh, they do. I see right here. Sorry. Ian Murphy. Yes.
Yeah. They conceded a lot of really early chances last year. Like you said, they really struggle with defensive compactness. They were winless when conceding first last season, which is kind of a crazy stat. So it seems like this is a team that, especially last year, they needed to jump out early, and when they didn't, they became lost. So the fact that that was the case, it's kind of interesting in the fact that they were still in the running.
Yeah, right up until the last day. I mean, this season, if we look about what they need to change going into 2026, like I said, this is a club that just makes me scratch my head, and I don't know what to expect with them. I think they made the right move, firing Chris Armas, bringing Matt Wells in, obviously coaching for Tottenham. I think that's going to bring in good experience, and he's going to be able to kind of solidify the culture at this club. I think the one positive that they had last year was developing young talent, which they kind of focused on elevating some of their academy guys. Darren Yappy, they expect a big season from him this year, playing at that winger position. And then also Jackson Travis, the left back for them, they have big expectations for as well. They gave them minutes last year, and both those players showed signs that they could be really bright spots for this team and for this franchise. They still have good MLS talent. I mean, we talk about Zach Steffen. That's a good goalkeeper to have. He's not as good as he once was, obviously, but I still think it's you can't go wrong having him in goal. Cole Bassett remains. Paxton Aronson. I love the addition of Dante Sealy this offseason. Obviously coming over from Montreal. I think they robbed Montreal. He should be able to help with their attack. You're basically switching out Kevin Cabral for Dante Sealy. I think that is a great move. You expect, and I say you expect, that the club has been vocal about they need more from their attacking players, and I think that starts with Navarro. He has shown at moments that he can be a dominant center forward in this league, but then you go out and you only scored 12 goals when you are the guy at the number 9 position. I think they expect a little bit more from his caliber of player. And then the other moves they've made, they brought in Donovan Phillip, center forward, 21 years old, on a 2-year deal. He's taking up an international spot. And then obviously Jordy Mihailovic is out the door to Toronto. So who are you going to have in that midfield to kind of solidify? We know how important the midfield position is. Who are you going to have as that captain in the midfield to kind of solidify things?
I think I got it with Matt. So Matt Wells is going to bring tactical direction to the club. They also brought in the Nigerian and Hamza Ohederan. He's a 22-year-old signed from RC Lens. I think this is going to be a perfect fit for what they need because he's going to bring a defensive mindset to the midfield. I think that last year they got beat on the attack on the forefront last year. So back on the attack they got beat. So Ohederan will be able to get back and be a ball-winning midfielder for them. Obviously, we're not looking at a captain, but we're looking at more of an engine player.
And I wanted to add in, Christian, the big player that I'm watching for this year, and I do think he can compete for. Does he still qualify for Young Player of the Year? I think he does. I'm talking about Darren Yappy. I mentioned it a little bit. I don't want to go too much into it again. But I think he's going to be a player who could. I'm looking at his age. He's 21 years old. I think to win Young Player of the Year, you have to be like under 22, I believe. So I think this is a player who could do it this season because I think they're ready to give him the reins to really go out there and shine for the Rapids. He's one of my players that I'm most excited to watch play this season, actually. I'm excited to see that if he can go out there and score a bunch of goals for them or at least provide a lot of goal contributions with assists. This is a team that needs to solidify that back line. And that was a big reason of their struggles last season. But another thing about this team, they've got 2 open DP slots. So I think you have some room to maneuver here. Kevin Cabral apparently was taking up one, which I did not know, unless my research was wrong. That is just crazy to me. And then Jordy Mihailovic was taking up one. You've sent them both away. Your sole DP on the roster right now is Rafael Navarro. Go out there and get a DP, and I'll get to that with my key to success. I'll hold off on that. The other player I want to talk about, Paxton Aronson. What can he provide for this team? We know what his brother can do. They brought him in last season, and we're very excited about bringing him in. I talked about who are you going to find in that midfield now that you sent Jordy Mihailovic away. Paxton Aronson could be that person. He doesn't bring the same consistency as his brother, but I think there is there's good enough raw talent there to be a good player in this league. I think he just needs to find his footing a little bit more, but I think this was a great pickup for the Rapids when they brought him in, and I think they look to expand his role heading into this season, and I think that Matt Wells will target him as one of his target players to go to run this offense out on the field. Oh, I didn't know if you had anything else to say, so I laid it up for you.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that. Paxton Aronson probably will become the creative outlet. I think even with Georgie, though, they kind of struggled with creative outlet, which is kind of what we touched on with Georgie with Toronto is what we were most excited for. And then Colorado kind of lacked that last year. So I guess maybe we could find out if Navarro is going to be that stud finisher or do they need to go find a new number 9?
Let's go ahead and switch it up, Christian, in this episode. Let's go ahead and do your 3 X factors first.
Okay, let's start off. So my 3 X factors, we're going to start off with defensive compactness. I touched on this earlier, especially away from home. The Rapids' biggest 2025 issue wasn't talent, it was spacing. Too easy to play through their midfield, which I believe Hamzat will change, and which left their center backs exposed in transition. Number 2, I have Zach Steffen's redemption arc. This is quietly huge for Colorado. MLS teams with top 5 goalkeeping always steal points. As Steffen regains the confidence and shot stopping consistency, this is going to gain Colorado 5 to 8 points alone. Number 3, I was quiet when you're talking about him. Darren Yappy's big step forward. Colorado doesn't have elite wingers. Goals must come from 9. Yappy's probably going to play more on the wing this year. If he can support Navarro, Colorado can become a playoff lock.
See, I'm always undercutting you with your. I'm sorry. Maybe we need to start sharing it beforehand.
No,
always.
I mean, it's not that. I mean, if here's the thing, that makes me feel better about what I'm saying if we're both agreeing.
Yeah, I think I can't say it enough. I think Darren Yappy is a young player to watch in this league, and I think if you're Matt Wells in Colorado, you have to just tell this young kid, hey, you're one of our go-tos. Like one of our go-to players, like you need, have the confidence to go out there and do what you do best. My key to success for this team, you got 2 open DP slots. I've been seeing a lot of people, MLS Moves on X. I'll give them a shout out. They've been going off with their tweets saying there are still teams. You have Miami doing what Miami's doing with their roster, and you still have teams. We're less than a month from the season beginning who still have open DP slots. And I understand why. MLS Moves has been saying how there's no punishment in this league if you finish at the bottom of the league. So, some teams are like, we're going to, we don't really need to try. We can just throw away the first part of the season. And with this league, it does have a forgiving, if you go out and struggle before the summer and then you get someone in the summer, you have time to come back and make the playoffs. It's forgiving if you struggle at first. So there are some teams that they're not in a rush. They're like, look, we'll just go out, we'll suck, we'll get our player during the summer. And I think a lot of players are doing that, or a lot of teams are doing this strategy, especially this year with the World Cup, because as you stated earlier in this podcast, there's going to be players available who are looking to stay fit, who maybe wouldn't have came to MLS, but now they are considering it because the World Cup being in America, and then, you get those reps in, especially if your contract expires with a European club. So I think there are some teams just waiting. We'll do what we can first part of the season. We'll focus on winning the second half. I think Colorado is one of those teams, but my key to success for them, fill your DP slots. And particularly, I don't want to do your guys' job for you, but I think you should fill your DP slots with one defender. I think you need a solid DP defender to really solidify that back line. And then I think you need one winger to go on the go on the other side of Yappy. I think you have Navarro, you have Yappy, and then who is that third guy? Yes, you might find him within your roster that you currently have, but I think you should go out and sign a DP winger. I think that would really help the club out overall. Christian, with Colorado, I don't see them making the postseason this year, especially with how loaded the West is. Maybe you have a different opinion because they were so close last season. One or two things go a different way, and they are in the postseason. So what's your outlook for Colorado?
I don't know that I would, just to touch on what you said, I don't know if I would use a DP on the defensive side. I would think I would go with a creative midfielder and a winger if I were them. But I think Colorado, and also I wanted to touch on the whole DP thing in the summer. I think that because we obviously have the big issue going on of MLS moving into the European time slot, I think that is going to be very important as of right now. A lot of those European players are mid-season form and want to finish off their year with the team they're at. And then the move to the MLS wouldn't happen until summer. So leaving your DP spots open kind of leaves some flexibility for the summer. Whereas if you fill those spots before, there could be some big names that come into the pot and you weren't expecting. With Colorado, I'd probably expect more of the same this year. I feel like I keep saying this with these teams back here, but I don't necessarily see a lot of these teams getting better. And again, it could be these teams waiting for the European time slot switch. I really don't know. But it seems like a lot of teams are really focusing on youth at the moment.
Yeah, getting that, solidifying the youth for potentially when we do switch over to that calendar spot.